We can discuss this now with Ajamu Baraka, director of the North-South Project for People-Centered Human Rights. Ajamu, good to have you on the program with us. During Trump's phone call with Putin, the Russian president offered his thoughts on the quick resolution of the conflict in Ukraine. Do you think Trump is likely to consider Putin's ideas?
I think so. I think that what we see is the U.S. administration looking for a off-ramp, that the plans they had for a quick resolution of this conflict that they initiated with Iran has not succeeded, and therefore they are looking for a political cover. Not only in this call that took place, but in the rhetoric that we heard from the U.S. administration in the lead up to this call. That is, Trump suggesting that most of the objectives of the war have been met as the consequence of the overwhelming power of the U.S. military. So the President Putin, I think, was very gracious in providing some commentary. The readout of this meeting says that the meeting was what they call frank and businesslike, and we know that in diplomatic language, that means that it was very, very honest and direct, and maybe even had some tension. But the tension that's been created is as a consequence of this war that was waged or being waged by the U.S. and the consequences of this war for all of the nations in the Gulf region, but also for the global economy, and that's the concern.
Western media report Washington might be considering weakening sanctions against Russia. So this comes as Trump said he has a plan to combat rising oil prices. To what extent do you think that this could be part of Trump's plan?
Well, definitely it is part of it. We see that there was a weakening and a removal of some sanctions to allow for more Russian crude to enter into the market. This was as a consequence of a real concern with the surging oil prices. It's important to note that when the U.S. president made his comments about the war being almost complete, indicating that there may be the possibility of this war ending, crude oil went from 120, basically about 120 a barrel to $90. So this reflects a real concern on the part of the international markets regarding the detrimental impact of this war and the fact that some people are making money while consumers around the world will be paying for this ill-advised conflict initiated by the United States of America.
U.S. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham urged Israel to be cautious in its choice of targets following its strikes on Iranian oil depots, warning the Iranian oil economy will be essential. Let's take a listen first to what Graham had to say, and I'll ask for your comment afterwards.
Our allies in Israel have shown amazing capability when it comes to collapsing the murderous regime in Iran. America is most appreciative. However, there will be a day soon that the Iranian people will be in charge of their own fate, not the murderous Ayatollah's regime. In that regard, please be cautious about what targets you select. Our goal is to liberate the Iranian people in a fashion that does not cripple their chance to start a new and better life when this regime collapses. The oil economy of Iran will be essential to that endeavor.
So Lindsey Graham posting those comments on X. Ajamu, just how much control does the U.S. have over Israeli actions in their war on Iran?
They have total control. I mean, basically, people have to understand that Israel is a projection of U.S. power. Of course, I mean, there's a convergence of interest, no question about that. But what Lindsey Graham is referring to is the fact that not only should Israel be careful, but it should be careful about evoking a counter response from Iran. Right now, there's been some attacks on Iranian oil production, but what they don't want to happen is for Iran to begin to systematically target oil production in places like Saudi Arabia. And so they are being very careful about the escalation of this to a point where there's complete and total destruction, not only in terms of oil production, but also targets like the desalinization plants These are very sensitive plants. And so this war is being waged, but there's still some degree of constraints on both sides.